In July 2005, George Smith disappeared from a cruise ship during his honeymoon. Blood was found on the deck below his cabin. The FBI investigated the case for nearly a decade. Royal Caribbean settled the case out of court. No criminal charges were ever filed. Nearly 20 years later, the same legal structures that complicated that case remain in place. Why? According to data presented to the United States Congress, over 300 deaths have been reported on cruise ships since 2000. Most of these cases did not result in criminal charges. This video is not about one specific death or how many people died. It's about how the cruise industry operates under maritime laws that function very differently from justice on land. The George Smith case, establishing the story. George Allen Smith IV was 26 years old when he boarded the Brilliance of the Seas with his wife Jennifer in July 2005. It was their honeymoon, a 12-day cruise through the Mediterranean. On the night of July 4th, 10 days into the voyage, George and Jennifer were seen at the ship's casino. Witnesses reported that both were drinking. There was an argument. Jennifer left the casino around 3:30 in the morning. George stayed at the bar with other passengers. At 4:06 a.m., a passenger sleeping in a cabin below heard a loud thud coming from the deck above. When the crew checked the area at 10:30 a.m., more than 6 hours later, they found a bloodstain nearly 6 feet wide on the metal awning below George Smith's cabin. George was never seen again. The ship was in international waters between Greece and Turkey when George disappeared. The vessel continued on its scheduled itinerary. The scene was not preserved as a crime scene until Turkish authorities boarded in Kusadasi, nearly 12 hours after the disappearance. By that time, the cabin had already been cleaned by the crew. The investigation and the legal void. The FBI took over the investigation when the ship docked in the United States. Agents interviewed over 200 passengers and crew members. They collected evidence. They analyzed the scene. The investigation lasted nearly 10 years. In 2015, the FBI announced that while they considered George Smith's death suspicious, there was insufficient evidence for criminal charges. But here's the first problem: jurisdiction. The Brilliance of the Seas is registered in the Bahamas. That means technically the ship is Bahamian territory, even when sailing in international waters or near the American coast. Under international maritime law, crimes committed on foreign-flagged ships in international waters fall under the jurisdiction of the flag country, in this case, the Bahamas. Of the 3 largest cruise companies in the world, Carnival Corporation, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian Cruise Line, none register their ships in the United States. Why? Because registering under a foreign flag allows them to operate under labor, environmental, and safety laws that are looser than American ones. This is perfectly legal. It's called a flag of convenience. The obstacles families face. Now, let's talk about the second obstacle, the contract you sign when you buy a cruise ticket. Hidden in pages of terms and conditions, there's a clause called a forum selection clause. Here's what it says. Any legal dispute must be resolved exclusively in Miami, Florida. Think about it. You live in rural Canada or Alaska. A tragedy hits your life, and the system forces you to fight in the company's own backyard, by their rules and on their timeline. That's not justice, it's a war of attrition. And there's a deadline. According to the terms of most cruise contracts, you have 6 months to notify the company of your intent to sue, and only 1 year to actually file the lawsuit. Compare that to medical malpractice cases on land, where the statute of limitations can be 2 to 4 years depending on the state. In George Smith's case, the family was grieving. No body, No clear answers from the FBI under pressure from a tight deadline. In 2006, just 1 year after the disappearance, Royal Caribbean offered an out-of-court settlement. The amount was reported in subsequent court proceedings as $1.3 million. The family accepted. As part of the settlement, they signed a confidentiality agreement, which means they cannot publicly discuss the details of what happened or what they believe happened. The systemic pattern. Nothing changed. George Smith disappeared in 2005. His death contributed to the passage of a federal law in 2010, the Cruise Vessel Security and Safety Act. This law requires cruise companies to report crimes to the FBI. It requires security cameras in public areas. It requires crew training to respond to sexual assaults. But here's what the law didn't change. Flags of convenience, still allowed. Forum selection clauses, still valid. The 1-year deadline to sue, still in effect. The ability of companies to settle cases with confidential agreements, still intact. Since that law went into effect, over 300 deaths have been reported to Congress by cruise companies. That doesn't include disappearances where no body was recovered, only confirmed deaths. The vast majority of these cases did not result in criminal charges. Civil settlements, sometimes involving confidentiality agreements, are a common outcome in these cases. Why this matters? The cruise industry generates over $60 billion a year. More than 30 million people take cruises annually, most of them Americans. These people sign contracts they rarely read, contracts that severely limit their ability to seek justice if something goes wrong. And when something does go wrong, the system is structured to make it extremely difficult to hold anyone accountable. This is not an anti-cruise video. Millions of people take cruises every year without incident. But it is a video about transparency. When you board a ship, you leave the protection of American laws and enter a different legal system. A system where companies have significant structural advantages if something happens to you. What this case reveals. George Allen Smith IV disappeared nearly 20 years ago. His family received a financial settlement, but not definitive answers. No public trial took place. No systemic changes were implemented to the core legal structures that shaped the case. His case exposed a legal loophole that continues to exist today. If you're planning a cruise, read the contract, understand the terms, know what legal system you're entering, and if you think this system needs to change, share this video with others who may not be aware of how maritime law works. Understanding this system is the first step to navigating it. Information is the power you have. If this video made you think, leave a like. If you think more people need to know about this, share it. And if you have experiences or knowledge about this subject, leave them in the comments, respectfully. This is the beginning of a series about legal structures that work differently than most people think. If you want more content like this, subscribe.